Hello. Today's episode is with a friend of mine and badass bass player around Austin, Micaiah Navarrete. And Micaiah and I get into a cool conversation about our playing together around Austin, his bass playing, his woodwind playing, saxophone, clarinet, music instruction, music repair, and just lifestyle as a musician and an artist around Austin. But before we get to that, please remember that I am a value for value based artist, which means that all the content that I provide online through podcasts, through music, live music, anything that I do, I ask that you return whatever value you derive back to me so we can have an exchange, a communal exchange essentially. So whatever value you derive from the content I provide, I ask that you respond in kind by providing value back to me. There's easy ways to do that. The easiest thing to do is leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, all that stuff. You can also donate one-time donations to my Venmo. You can donate Bitcoin through this Bitcoin QR code. Or what you can do is you can sign up on my Patreon on a monthly basis where you get access to backstage content, full concert videos, all sorts of things like that, with all the links below. All right, now on to my conversation with Micaiah. Welcome to Music in Mind, with Anthony Calkin. Hello, everybody. I'm here with my friend and fellow musician, Micaiah Navarrete,
How's it going?
Hey. His badass bass player around Austin, Texas, and we met, I don't know, like a year ago or something, probably at a jam or something like that. But actually, we play every Sunday afternoon at the Drafting Room on Rainy Street in Micaiah's band Mick and the Mix. And yes, how's life?
It's okay. I've been little busy between work and gigging. It's about South by time right now, so
Yeah.
it's been crazy. And then also just trying to balance work life and
Yes.
having a full-time day job and doing the music thing is
Yes.
it's very very stressful and time consuming.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing that a lot of gigging musicians have to deal with. And I was talking with Jack Carson last week on the podcast about that, about not having a day job. And I feel like I know a lot of people who sort of split the difference on that. So where do you fall on day job, gigging, what the function of them is?
I mean, I think like I also know Jack, but
Right.
I know plenty of people who do like all they do is play, and
Right.
that's where their main source of income is.
Yep.
And excuse me.
But
And I think that can get it can get real tiring, and I think burnout is a thing.
sure.
And I think from what I've observed is like people find it hard to like find time to practice or write new material because you're always it's fun when it's just a thing, but then once it's a job it kind of changes the scope of it. And for me personally, I enjoy having my day job. It's still music related, and repairing instruments, so I'm not actually like not doing music.
Right.
But I do very much enjoy my time away from doing music.
playing?
I love to sit at home and play video games and not practice or anything, because it's like I personally need something not music all the time to keep from going insane.
Right. So do you see music as your job then?
I think so. I think at this point it's just one of those things that I do. Like,
Sure.
I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't doing music. Like, I ask myself that too often. Like, if I wasn't out playing gigs and stuff, like it makes extra money and stuff, but ultimately I do it because it's fun and it's something I enjoy
Not exactly
doing.
the best way to make money.
No person does it like in a sane manner. They think everybody has to be a
This
little
is a good
crazy
investment of my time.
Yeah. It's something that you have to really, really want to do. And I think for me, it's just something I just do. I've always just done it, and it's always just worked out for me, and I don't know what else I would do. Like, would I change my career and go into like computer programming or something? Like, no.
Yeah.
No, I could never sit at a desk all day, like,
Right.
and type away at a computer. It would be crazy for me.
What the instrument repair side though makes me think sort of like you like working with your hands or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I do. It's also like for me, it's a lot of tinkering, and
Sure.
so it's my understanding of music is also like understanding instruments
Yep.
and understanding like how they work, why they work the way that they do. Like one of my favorite things to do is to work on like old vintage saxophones.
Oh, cool.
Because you get to see, or like when you go and you work on old instruments, specifically saxophone, because it's a relatively new instrument. I think Adolph Sax made the first saxophone like in the 60s or 40s or
Wait,
something
the
like that.
1960s? I thought it was from the 1860s.
I could be wrong. I'm real bad with dates and numbers.
It's a very new instrument.
But yeah, it's a very new instrument,
Yeah.
and it's gone through like so many changes in such a short amount of time. And so you can literally like, you might work on an instrument that was made like 5 years after another one.
Right.
And there's different key mechanisms. You can see like where they're like, okay,
Oh,
well,
really?
like, yeah, you can see where somebody like, where the designer, it might be like Conn-Selmer or you know, Buffet or Bundy or there, where they were like, well, this design, you know, it was a neat thought, but it's a little stupid. Let's try this thing. Like, you know, there's like on saxophone, there used to be like, okay, so when you're playing like a G sharp or A flat for the wind people, G sharp for guitar players, you like to trill to it, you have to use your pinky. Well, your pinky, you know, it doesn't have as much independence as like say your first, second finger, and so it's real hard to do a trill like that. So what they did is they invented an alternate key that sat down here, that when you needed to do and when you needed to trill, rather than going like that from G sharp to G, you would go over here and press this button
on your right.
and it would open up a key on the back side of the saxophone that would do a trill
inventive.
there. It's inventive, but there's a couple of design issues with it. Something about like I guess they figured out something about where it sits on the bottom crook of the saxophone. It messes with the way it resonates as you get lower.
Oh, okay.
And also like
You mean it messes with the lower register of the instrument?
Yeah, it messes with the lower register of the instrument, and also a lot of techs are like, it's another adjustment, so they just usually like pin it down.
When did it become standard?
It's never like it was a thing for like maybe 5 or 6 years.
I see. So like if you're in middle school band right now and you're playing an instrument, it's not going to have that.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Or like there's even different ways where they had like you can see the invention and addition of rollers on certain keys. So like with woodwinds, you do so much with your pinkies. For whatever reason, clarinet hasn't adopted it. Might be tradition or something. But with saxophone, like you can see where they've added rollers, so now your pinky can move around a whole lot easier, and you don't have to just like pick it up and move it. So like I don't know, it's neat to get to see those kinds of developments in instruments, and even like with brass instruments, like there's some brainiac somewhere who sits down and is like, oh, if I move this little piece of metal like from this part on a tube to here, it's gonna like the harmonics on the like an instrument are gonna resonate so much better within like this tuning frequency. And I have no idea how people come up with all that.
Brass is crazy, and even playing brass is like the way like thinking about playing through overtones and things like that is wild to me. It's like versus piano or even most woodwinds where it's like it really is button pushing.
Well, they all are.
Right, but like trombone, like there's a number of fundamental positions, and then you can play through the harmonics in each of those positions. That's wild. The sax thing that you were saying was making me think about like clarinet has open holes where you can half hole and stuff like that, or a bassoon. And then a clarinet or a saxophone feels almost like adding frets to a
I can see
fretless
that.
string instrument. It's like it's adding a structure where everything is keyed mechanisms that sort of like tightens things up and like has its own limitations, but streamlines things really well too.
Yeah. I guess I can see that. Yeah, I guess like I've just never thought about that too much. Like
Sure.
I understand how like everything like they all work on different, you know, fundamentals and everything. But if you like I guess I've always thought about like any sound is just like it's just a bunch of other sounds and just
Right.
it's the fundamental of other sound waves.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, any like if you're playing like if I play my clarinet right now and I play a C, well, it's I'm not just playing a C, I'm
Right.
playing a lot of other notes, and just the way all of those notes resonate together, our brain translates it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
It's a
you
C.
hear this pitch.
Right.
And it's a crazy thing. Yeah.
It's insane. And we did this when I was in college with bassoon. We did a test where we brought a spectrogram. Is that I don't what is the name? Is that the right name of the tool?
Is that the little thing where like you can watch the
It has a
waveform?
dial for, like 12 different harmonics or something.
Yeah.
And so on a bassoon, especially in the first octave, like the fundamental octave, you actually hear the fifth more than you hear the fundamental frequency.
Yeah.
So like if you play an F, you're hearing a C more than you're hearing an F.
Well, and here I'll show you a neat thing. Since I have this out here.
Yeah.
So like on like woodwind instruments and stuff, you can get sound like so rather than playing like a well, that's a C, you can play all those fundamentals. It doesn't sound good, but
I
and
love
so
it.
like rather than just hitting that one fundamental pitch, you get
What all was in that?
all I believe it's so it's like a I guess it's like a F chord of some form.
Yeah, right.
But which is funny because you know, F is definitely not the note that
Yeah.
you're playing when you finger that C.
Yep.
But by changing like the way you position your tongue and you blow just a little, you get multiple notes on an instrument that's not thought of as being polyphonic.
Right.
It's thought of being as monophonic.
Oh, yeah. Do you ever play any of those crazy pieces where the composer writes in the fingering so that you get like crazy?
Not anymore.
You used to do that? In
Yeah,
college?
you know, I'd get bored in a practice room. You know, I'm in there until 3:00 in the morning, anyways. Might as well, you know, yeah, break up the monotony of scales and long
yeah.
tones somehow. So you do that
Yeah.
because yeah, with this thing specifically, at one point it got real depressing to play because like you're just seeing it when you're sitting in a practice room
Yeah.
practicing scales all the time, and now you're playing rep and you're just like, oh, this is just this scale, oh, this is just this is just like exercises and
Yep.
scales that I do all the time. So like the music becomes really easy
Right.
to digest and learn quickly, it kind of takes like the fun of being like, oh man, this is challenging to learn. And you're like,
Sure.
okay, it's just this scale. It's just this scale. Okay, now we go back. You know.
But then that's interesting to hear from you as a bass player around Austin, because I feel like 65% of what you do is just play blues all the time.
Oh,
for
yeah.
like an hour or 2 hours or 3 or 4. It's
yeah,
just like
and I mean
an hour of the same blues progression.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Like, that's kind of why I try to not take too many blues gigs.
Sure.
Like there's certain people I'll play with because
Yeah.
I enjoy playing with them and I
Yeah.
enjoy making music with them. But like when you're like, okay, we're playing B, blues progression in B. Okay, cool. Is there a quick 4? Because that's the only variety I'm gonna get
Right.
today.
Yeah.
And so like you know, every now and then there's like some neat blues songs where you get like The Thrill Is Gone or something,
Yeah.
where you get a little
six.
something spicy and sexy in there. But for the most part, it's like, okay, this is in B. Okay, I do this shape, and then this shape on the 4, and then I do this shape on 5.
Right.
And then, oh, we're doing a different key. Just like plug and play your hand and play the same patterns.
Right.
And so it can get kind of boring and monotonous.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I like. Maybe this is like immaturity in a musical sense, but like when I get bored, that's when I'm like, okay, we're gonna play around with notes here.
But I think it's the most fun. I love it when you're playing more. I'm like a huge fan of counterpoint. I love Bach and fugues and stuff. So I love when the bass voice is active in.
Is that why you were listening to metal when I came in here?
I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think playing bass is like a different monster than playing like a woodwind instrument. For one, you know, like people think of like if I'm playing something like clarinet or saxophone, or like even sometimes I'm sure you get this if you're playing guitar, like they expect like just you to play a bunch of fast notes and everything.
Sure.
And you know, like sure, you know, you might want to be like right on time when you're playing like 128th notes or whatever. But with bass, there's just something about the fundamentalism of it.
Yeah.
That if you're just a little off time,
Yep.
you feel it. With the clarinet, like if like me and Susie Joanne sitting next to me, like we come in like just slightly off, it's not, human ears probably not going to register that unless you're looking for it.
Right.
With bass, if drummer's here and bass is like
it feels
you
really
feel
weird.
it,
Yep.
you know. And there's a time and place for it, you know, like if you really want to like drag something to give it a certain kind of feel, like you know, like in reggae you might want to be sitting real far back on the beat, you're still in time, you're just like but yeah, with bass you have to be like real exact. It's almost a different monster all on its own.
How do you deal with the technique of being totally on? Is it a feel thing? Is it intense subdivision?
I think it's a feel thing more. At least for me, I know that there are people who like really do sit down there and they're like really like subdividing. And there are times where I do that, like particularly if like music is real challenging and there's like a lot of hits and I have to be in line with a bunch of people, or maybe I'm playing something real exact with a drummer. But other than that, like I'm just staying with the fill.
Right.
Like,
I notice you dance a lot when you play.
I do.
I feel I feel like that's huge. Like I've had students who cannot even like clap along with a metronome, but the way they clap is so weird. They like clap with their whole arm and there's no give to their body, and it's like, of course you can't. You're not feeling the push and pull of even what a metronome is.
Yeah. And I think like, I guess like another one of my opinions is it's music is an expressive thing.
Right.
You know, like yeah, you can play something and just be like super rigid like this and be in time and everything. But I don't know, I feel like it's easier because like we also listen with our eyes. You know, like
sure.
Like there's a difference between like if we were to post a video of you playing guitar, me playing bass, and the audio was off with the video, you notice it.
Yeah.
Same thing like if you know that happens on TV or when you're anything like that. Like we listen with our eyes, and so when you're playing music with other people, it's a very communicative. Like I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I'm playing, I'm looking around at everybody all the time. Like what's he doing? What's he doing? What's she doing?
Yep.
Like constantly. And I think when everybody's in motion and everything, you can see where everybody's feeling time, what everybody's thinking, what everybody's doing. Whereas opposed, like if everybody was on stage, like standing like this, and we're like, all right, we're gonna like do a hit somewhere, right? Cool.
Oh
Where's
my
the
god, I'm
hit?
like stressed just like listening to what
Where's
you're
the
saying.
hit?
Oh no.
But as soon as like I'm like, like
Yep.
I give like a
Yep, your
shoulder,
shoulder,
like a
yep.
prep,
Yep. Well, they taught us in college when we had to do conducting to always breathe with a cue, because if you go, you know exactly where it's going to be. But if I go like that, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing, the neat thing that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
And I think it's particularly because most people in Austin are guitar players,
Right.
bass players, drummers, and keyboard players whenever you can find them, wherever they exist. Is nobody talks about breathing.
Yeah.
The like, I don't know, for me, breathing is a very like meditative thing.
Yep.
Like while I'm practicing something, especially like if it's like a really like riffy thing, like I go slow
Yep.
and I notice like, oh, I'm not breathing.
Right.
So
yep.
then you relax,
Uh-huh.
you breathe, and then you start working on that. And once you can like play a riff while focusing on your breathing instead of like what
Wow,
your hands
yeah,
are doing,
yep.
then you're comfortable. Okay, let's speed it up. And how fast can I play this while
Yep.
and breathing in time is like a big thing. Like
Wow.
your
Yeah.
brain, in order to process information and everything, requires oxygen. So
Right.
you should be breathing. It's like when
Right.
like I guarantee you, if you're thinking about another, like sometime when you're at a jam or something, or you're watching people play, you can tell when people aren't breathing because they start doing this and this, and they start getting tensed up.
Yeah,
and when
oh,
you
yeah.
get tensed up, your shoulders get
Yep.
up here. If you're trying to sing, like
Oh yeah.
what
you're
can you
stuck.
do?
Yeah, right.
Your vocal range is
Yep.
cut up, and you see people's bodies, they get tensed up, and when that happens, like your muscles get
Yep.
more rigid and everything else, it gets harder to do stuff. But the second you breathe,
Yeah.
like everything relaxes. If
Yep.
it just feels better.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like big on like
Yep.
breathing. Like when I would do clarinet lessons, one of the big things I would work on, and I had people that had disagreements with this, but that's how teaching goes. There's always gonna be
Yeah.
disagreements because everybody has their own idea of what's right. But I would spend a good of a 30-minute lesson, spend about 10 minutes going over breathing, like getting good, especially because like with clarinet you need good air support.
Oh yeah.
So working on breathing in and out in time, and then like just really building up breath support, and then all like that's just one of the things I talk about. Like I even a month or two ago I was giving some bass lessons to a friend, and when we were talking about doing like the spider crawl up and down the neck and everything, I was like, okay, now while you're doing it, breathe.
Yeah. That's
Like
huge.
I want you to focus in for 4, out for 4,
Nice.
in for 4, out for 4, and just getting comfortable with the idea of playing relax.
I feel like that's kind of what good sweep picking is in my mind.
Don't sweep picking brings up PTSD.
Does it?
Yeah, that's what made me quit guitar.
Now, oh man. Wait, what?
Sweep picking is where I was like with guitar. I was like,
You know, most
should
guitar
just
players
stick to
don't
rhythm.
sweep pick, right? like Jim Briggs and I talked about it. He doesn't really sweep pick.
I get.
I
that.
don't know if Greg Warnes does or not, but I haven't heard a whole lot of sweep picking out of him.
Let's just say he probably does, but
I mean, I'm sure. Dude, last night at the Blues Jam, he did this solo on Get Back that was just like out of this world.
oh, he's such a good player.
It was amazing. So he's somebody where when you're talking about breath, it's just the amount of time he takes. I really appreciate it because there's this sense sometimes, especially at a jam, where it's like, oh, it's my turn to solo, I have to go.
Yeah,
And it's like, no. Just take your time and get into it. And we'll go through 3-4 times if we need to. Or more.
that's nice for you guitar players.
Well,
I'm a
actually,
bass player. If I'm ever feeling a solo, it's like, you got your one done. All right, let's go on to
Oh,
somebody.
that's sad. That's sad. That's
Sometimes you get interrupted. Like you'll be like 4 bars into the solo, and then another guitar player is like, I can solo again. You're like, bomb, bomb, bomb,
Yeah.
bomb.
Yeah. I kind of had a thing like that where the guitar player was like, "Ooh, can I solo again? I'm gonna solo again and again." And it's like, all right.
As long as you have something to say, I think a solo is fine.
Right. I think the guitar players confuse the fact that they are playing a distorted instrument that sounds kind of like badass with having something to say. They're confusing those two things.
I think so
Because
too.
just because you can go, wah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I feel like the bass is more interesting from that respect because the sound is nice and it's like nobody hates the sound of a bass, but it isn't like a statement with just a note.
If you don't hate the sound of the bass, just wait till the next gig.
Oh my god.
I'll make you change that.
Actually, the sound of the bass I don't like. I don't really like that. I don't even know what I would call it. It's like the Jaco Pastorius sound that I feel like
I know what you're talking
it's
about.
like kind of fuzzy. It's like not super clean, but it's also very clean.
Yeah, it's his tone's so weird to me. Like, I get that it's like a characteristic bass tone that tons of people want.
Because I feel like Victor Wooten does it a lot too.
Yeah, there's a few players who emulate that tone pretty well.
Yeah.
I think one of the craziest things is like when you listen to recordings, it always sounds like he has like some kind of chorus or delay
Maybe.
or something. But no, it's quite literally like you turn down, like if I'm trying to get the Jaco sound, what I do is I turn down my, like if I'm using a 4-band EQ,
Yeah.
I turn down everything but the highs.
Oh my god.
And then you just play super close to the bridge and
Right.
pluck as hard as you fucking can.
Interesting. So it
And-
doesn't have mids in it because it sounds kind of mid heavy.
You would think so.
Because if you say I turned on everything but the highs, all of a sudden my brain goes to like Corn.
Yeah, dude. It's super weird. I personally not a big fan of the tone. Big fan of the playing.
Yeah,
Not a
I
big
mean,
fan of-
amazing
Yeah.
solos, amazing like just like thought processes and ideas and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like his playing because I can go, if I go and look at a solo,
Yeah.
I never go and look at like the whole solo and I'm like, I'm gonna play this whole thing. There's just like little licks that I'm
Yes.
like, oh, this is a fucking tasty lick. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a cool lick.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
But on that note, I was thinking about this the other day. Meme culture
Uh-huh.
in jazz is kind of funny. Like, you think about the lick. Yeah, da 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 da. But when you think about it is like, okay, you learn it. Okay, now you go and learn it in 12 keys. And it's kind of like,
It's also the easiest thing to play in 12 keys.
1 second. Like, so then you have to learn to like do it in different
Right.
positions and stuff like that. And so it almost harkens back to like the old jazz practice of like you learn a tune by rote
Right.
and then you just play it in 12, like
Yep.
you learn it in 12 different
Yep.
keys. If you can play in 12 different keys, you can solo over it for
Right.
sure.
Yep.
Like you understand
Mhm.
the harmonic structure and everything of that usually by the end of that. And so like now the internet has created like meme culture, but the Buddy Holly riff, the da 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 da,
Sure.
like that's become the kind of meme thing.
Uh-huh.
Or sorry,
That's okay.
or like the Mario, like there's like
Yeah.
a theme, there's like a sax lick from Mario Kart, and
Okay.
so like all video games and like just pop culture have made these little memes,
Yeah.
and now they're part of like jazz lexicon of
Yeah.
riffs to know to stick in for like little laughs
Sure. Yeah.
with the people who catch it.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just find that real interesting. Like, so things are meant to be a joke that
Yes.
are like everybody knows and uses as both a joke, but
Mhm.
also like as just like common tropes in their
Yeah.
repertoire.
Yeah. I mean, there's like an if you know in the club kind of aspect to
Mhm.
it. I think there's also it brings up a conversation I had with a composition professor once about cliches. And he was very pro cliches.
Common tonal idioms, as the theory professors like to call them.
Oh my gosh. Well, he was even talking about how if you're doing a play and and it's set in London and you're making the set, what do you put? You put the Tower of London. You put the river, right? You do all that stuff. Why? Because that's what people are going to know. You use the cliches because actually cliches are important to bring people in and be like, you know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it gives you space to do crazier stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Or like, I guess just play with people's expectations.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I saw Darius once. I don't remember what they were playing, but then it was something in a different key, and then he did like half the solo for Hotel California, and then went back into the other song.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, honestly, it was very cool. I was impressed, by the way. I was like, wow, okay, good job. They were playing like a blues in G minor or something, and he just
whipped it out.
Yeah.
Sounds like him. Dude's crazy.
Yeah, very, very good guitar player, though. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I liked what he was doing that one time at the drafting room on all along the Watchtower, too. It's just like so playful sometimes.
Yeah.
I wish I had that more. That's something, and I'm thinking about your breath thing. I feel like I'm going to try and introduce it into my practice about finding a way to be free, because there's that thing where you have a lot of things you can do, but can you do them in the moment is the real question, and not always.
I mean, I think it's more of, at least for me, when if I go and learn a lick,
yeah,
I'm never thinking like, oh, I'm going to try sticking that in. Like, it never has like an intended purpose. And so I'll be like in the middle of a solo or, playing like one of my own riffs, and I'm like, let me see if I can fit this in here somehow. And sometimes it doesn't work, and you're like, okay, we just pretend that doesn't happen. We don't revisit this. We just move on with life. And sometimes it works, and you're like, all right, cool. We're gonna do this now.
Yeah. So what is the function of practicing for you? Because I feel like I have different modes. I'm learning a set for next week, which is a mode of practicing that's like kind of high stress and kind of annoying. Like the way to just like learn a whole bunch of songs at once. And then there's like, no, I'm going to practice like a 2-5-1 lick in every key and like really like think about this and rack my brain to work my way through this. And then can I take this and now like naturally incorporate it into an unstructured improvisation?
Okay. Well, I know generally for me, when I go into practice, I don't just go to like, fiddle around on my instrument.
Right.
I don't think that's practicing.
Right.
I think practicing has a very like pointed focus. And so I guess it depends on what I'm trying to do. Like if I have a 3-hour set and I have to learn a bunch of music for it.
Yeah.
I'm going through and I'm finding like, I'm listening. I'm just like doing a quick listen to stuff. I'm like, I'll listen to the front of it and I'll be like, okay, this is just standard blues or this is this. And then I jump to the end of it to be like, is there a key change or something?
Are we
big?
somewhere else? Yeah.
Like I jump in the middle of it, see if something happens, jump to the end of it, see if we're somewhere else. If we're all in the clear, next thing.
Yeah.
So it's all about like efficiency. And then after that, like I think a big part of practicing that people don't talk about too much, like people talk about listening to music,
Right.
But there's never talking about like okay, listening to music to practice. Like there's stuff that there's times where I don't really have time to practice, but I do have time to listen to a track. Yeah. So I listen to that track over and over and over again. And I almost go into that meditative mode where I'm breathing and I'm like, what would it feel like to play this song? Like, what does it just feel like the motions would be to play this riff?
Right.
And then when I do get time to sit down, I kind of run through those motions. And sometimes it's pretty close or it's right on. And sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I gotta like adjust this. But I've already like run through in my head so much how to like go through the motions of playing
Sure.
a lick that I'm like, okay, I just gotta learn this lick. Cool.
Uh-huh.
Next thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I guess outside of that, if I'm practicing for any other reason, it's for like just personal betterment.
Yeah.
It's that, and that's why I'm going, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna spend 30 minutes just playing scales and thirds.
Right.
And
Yep.
I might do it from like this position today, and then tomorrow I'm gonna change and
Yeah.
do from this position. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna change and do a different position and a few keys. I think 12 keys on a fretted instrument is kind of redundant for practicing.
Yeah.
If you can do it with open string, you do it with open strings and you do it off of G. I generally do it off of G
Yeah.
because that's the first place where you don't have to worry about an open
Yeah.
string. And then outside of that, I'm just doing stuff for my own enjoyment.
Yes.
Like I might be like, oh, there's a solo I've always wanted to learn, or there's like a line I've always wanted to learn. Let me go like just learn that for
Yeah.
kicks. But yeah,
Nice.
I don't know if that answers your question. I hope it does.
Well, I don't. I don't know. Practicing, it's a weird thing to me because when I'm learning music, I don't think of that as practicing. I think of learning and practicing as sort of slightly different modes.
Okay.
And like, there's the take in mode, and then like the thing that sucks is with all the gigs, you know, the 3-hour cover sets. I often don't feel like I've learned most of the songs properly. And I'm just sort of like hobbling by on a lot of songs, and which makes it a lot less fun, honestly. But like just knowing a song, even if it's an easy song where it's like I know that song, then it feels good because you can express yourself through that song.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When
So there was
only one rule.
There was one podcast fail I had where somebody said, "I'm going to ask you a question now," and then I tried to make a joke. This was with Eric W, and I'm sorry, Eric. I wasn't trying to be an asshole. But then I didn't time it right, and I was like, "This is my podcast, not yours." But I was trying to be funny and jolly, like I'm the one who asks the questions around here. But it came off very aggressive, and he was like, "I know, I'm sorry." I was like, "Oh my god, I was not." And I was like, "Wow, I was really not trying to be a dick to you."
Okay.
But yes.
Oh God, I can't remember. I was gonna ask you now. When you're listening to music,
Yes.
do you focus on your part? Do you focus on all of it?
Uh-huh.
And when you're like, I imagine you audiate at some point, like when you just like run through how a song sounds in your head.
Yeah.
What do you focus on when you audiate?
So when I'm listening to music, I listen to my part more now that I am in a mode where I'm having to learn a lot of music really fast. I tend to focus on lyrics and drum and bass
Okay.
are where I sort of enjoy being. And so from learning cover band sets, I have heard lots of guitar things that I never even knew existed before.
Okay.
And yeah, if I'm like trying to think of a song, I'm probably trying to think of the guitar part. Unless there's some rhythm that like I'm trying to figure out specifically.
Okay.
And all I ever think about now when I'm audiating is the middle. So
You'll get there someday, kiddo.
I don't understand.
Big Tony over
I don't understand.
No, I think it was Adam Neely that I was listening to one time, and he was talking about audiating, and just listening. Like, if you're also, I guess one of my college professors would talk about this too, where like level 1 musician is like, all right, what's my part?
Right.
Level 2 is like, okay, what's going on around me? Am I playing in tune?
Yep.
Level 3 is like, oh, I know French horn's gonna play this
Yes,
line
sure.
over here. Like in just being totally engrossed in what's going on.
Absolutely.
So like when I'm trying to run through stuff, I'm always like, let me see if I can piece everything together in my head. Like, let me see if I can have the drums and the bass, guitar, and vocals all going on at
playing
the
in your
same
head.
time in my head.
That's what. Yeah. I mean, when I was in an undergrad, my composition professor would have us do this. So especially in orchestration class, he would have us just look at music, and he would say, "Don't go to a piano and don't pull up a recording. Just like read through these 4 measures with your eyes, and like try and sing the solfege in your head. Don't sing out loud, and just keep going until you can like hear it. And now do that one, and now see if you can do them at the same time." He said it would just. He's like, you should spend probably like months on this. I mean, it's very tedious, but.
Yeah, and the funny thing about audiating is, I guess like I learned this in the past couple of years, is a lot of people actually don't do it, and it's a practice I think most musicians should. Like, as like I'm becoming 30, like as we get older, we definitely have to think about the toll that like playing an instrument takes on your body.
Right.
You know, like this. You know, it's only 6 or 9 pounds, depending.
Right.
And when you have all that weight sits like right there on your thumb, it's pulling this tendon, and so nobody thinks like, oh yeah, that's it's a clarinet. It's small. Like, what are you, fucking stupid? But no, after you go play for 3 hours. And you're feeling it.
Oh yeah,
man. You feel it all up in here. You feel it in your back and your shoulder.
Yes. Yep.
And so like I really do think that audiating and running, like really focusing on what does it feel like? What like if I'm playing a C major scale on a clarinet without moving my hands at all, like if I'm sitting here like this, what does it feel like to play? Like what's going on in my mouth? What are my fingers doing? What does it feel like to just move every single finger going up and back down? And I've found that like lots of people don't think about stuff like that. And I see friends and stuff that are like, man, I practiced 5 hours yesterday. Like I've been practicing like a dog, but I'm just so sore. My hands are fucking killing me, and I have to play a gig, and I can't feel my hands. And it's like you need to rest. Like you need to listen to your body. You need to rest. But I need to practice. There are ways to practice, and there are ways to study your craft and get better without touching an instrument.
Yes.
Now that's not an endorsement to be like,
lazy.
Don't touch your don't touch your instrument for a month and then try to go play with a bunch of people thinking that you're just gonna pick it up and like wow everybody. But like be conscientious of what your body's telling you.
Yeah. Well, I also like what you're saying when you're talking about audiation. You're tying it to what does it feel like too, the physical side of it. It's like what you're saying about dancing, and I really think that music and dance are tied together. And thinking of music as just being sound is a mistake. Yeah,
I can agree with that.
Like it's moving. It's this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other neat thing about audiating, I was talking to Carrie about this one day. So, and apparently it's not common knowledge, but when you're listening to a song in your head, it's not like your brain or anything making the sounds. It's actually a muscle in your ear that you're training to vibrate,
as if
that you're training to vibrate and create those sounds and pitches like for your brain to translate into like, oh, that's what this sounds like.
Actually, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Your inner ear is a crazy thing.
So it's like,
so you got to also protect your ears.
Let's make some music. Yeah, I know. My left ear distorts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was terrible. What was I playing? I was playing a run of, I think it was Xanadu, the Olivia Newton-John musical.
Was that when you were...
Xanadu? Yeah. And I was just sitting right next to the drummer's China cymbal. And it's just like, it was just smashing me in the ear every night. And it was like after 3 weeks, I was noticing like my ear was starting to distort.
Oh, it's crazy.
And now, like whenever I hear a loud noise with my left ear, it distorts.
Oh.
It's never gotten better.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all right. It's just like I'm listening to metal all the time.
Like that's some good counterpoint.
Yeah, right. It could be. Some metal has some counterpoint.
You know, counterpoint's one of those things. Like
Yeah.
I can spot it if I hear it,
Mm-hmm.
and I can look at it and examine it and do like the figured bass and all
Right.
that. But like if you're like, could you write a counterpoint with a good figured bass line? Oh, no like hidden fifths. You know, like when you're like,
It takes
oh yeah,
time.
I'm gonna resolve this like this, and it might sound pleasant to our ears now, but they're like, yeah, actually, you know, you jumped a fifth.
It's
and
terrible.
and it broke like this one really discrete rule. Your part writing sucks.
Oh man.
But-
But I think you do counterpoint. I think that we have counterpoint. It's just not rigid counterpoint. The rules aren't so rigid. If you're playing a bass line and there's a guitar line or a chord progression over the top, there is counterpoint. There's lines moving.
Don't tell that to the people that just play the root, man.
Well, they're yeah, those
I mean,
guys.
like
It
you
can
know-
be fine. Sometimes that's what you want. Sometimes you just want do 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 do.
Yeah, sometimes you just want a guy that's just gonna sit there and be like dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da
Well, I'd
dun
never
da
want
dun
that.
da dun da dun. And you know, some people really want that. That's what they want. All power to them. I feel bad when they hire me to do that because I'm like, man, I can't. Austin is the first time I've ever been told by somebody like, hey man, can you just play the roots? Because listen, you played the third on this one chord, and when you play the third, I can't. When you play like a note that's not the root of the chord, I can't hit pitch when I sing.
What?
Austin is the first time I've ever been told that,
Whoa.
and you know,
That's
playing with jazz combos and stuff like that with vocalists, where you know, I can play out of the chord as long as you're on it on a
Yeah.
strong beat, and those people are like, yeah, they're right hitting those pitches, and this person was like, yeah, I can't sing.
What's crazy to me about that story is that they are aware enough to know what's happening. They are aware of they want the bass to play the root, and you play this other note, and that like destabilizes them. So they have like this musical awareness, and at the same time, they don't have any like ability to be strong in themselves.
Yeah, I couldn't
It's
tell you,
very
man.
weird.
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, you get people that are like, "Oh, you're overplay." I'm like, "No, man. I just played the third of the chord. It's okay. Like we're going to resolve this. It's okay."
Actually,
You're fine.
I was in a band where I was playing bass once a long time ago. It was like an ambient, like explosions in the sky kind of thing, and I wanted to do a lot of inversions because I felt like it made the chords ring in a nice way. But like no lines or anything. Just like instead of playing the root, I want to play the third or something like that. And it was the same thing. They were like it destabilizes the whole thing and it makes it weird. So it's just like
Sometimes it's cool though. Like, you know, sometimes you want things to be destabilized. Like you want a bit of tension
right.
because it just makes the resolution like that much sweeter, you know?
Yeah.
And I've done stuff like that. My favorite thing is like when I am playing with those kind of people that get angry when you're not playing like just the root.
Yeah.
And just like for their 3
What
hour
you're talking about is the worst thing ever. If there was a bass player to me going dun 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 dun, I would hate it.
Dude.
If it's the kind of song that's like an industrial song that's like fine.
Yeah. But I think I feel like it's the blues
But
jams
like
around
if it's like a
town.
blues shuffle, I want like do 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 something like that.
You would be surprised, man.
That's crazy.
But I think the people that get real upset about it are the ones like okay, so you know if we're on an A chord, right?
Right.
And
Yes, we
I just decide to play like I don't know F sharp,
Sure.
right? If you're that kind of person who's mad about me not playing the root,
Yeah.
well now you can't do anything about the chord. It is an F sharp
Minor.
minor
Oh,
chord,
yeah.
and there's absolutely nothing you can do about
Yep.
it.
Well, the bass player's always right. There's this other thing. I was playing with a bass player once who insisted to me, or he was insisting that the chord progression for Tennessee Whiskey was A, B minor, D, A. And going to D changes it enough that since we're just playing simple triads, me playing a B minor sounds like I'm messing up.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, why'd you play it wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It was like, this guitar player doesn't even know this song.
No, and it's funny because like, if you think about it, like from a musical theory standpoint, like if you're playing, as long as you're playing something that shares two
Right.
notes with like, like if you're playing something that's a predominant functioning chord, let's say
Right.
like 2, 4, 6, 6 depending,
Sure.
but as long as you're playing something that functions as a predominant chord, you can play it over any other
Right.
predominant chord,
Right.
and it's just gonna add a different color
It'll add
or
color.
effect to it. Same thing with dominant functioning chords. You can play as long as it's a dominant.
Right.
As long as you're playing something that's supposed to be dominant functioning,
Yep.
where everybody's playing something dominant functioning, it's probably gonna work out.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you treat the release of it.
Right.
And like it really bothers some people sometimes when you do that. And I haven't figured out why.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like people just don't have like that kind of ear sometimes, or maybe they're just listening for something specific, and when you play
Yeah.
around it messes with their sense of where they're at. I know like if you're doing something where it's a jam and it's just like somebody's just soloing and soloing and soloing and soloing, it removes their like comfortability in the form and where they're at. If you're like, okay, well, instead of going to 4, I'm gonna go to like 2, but I'm gonna work up to 4, and we're gonna go back to 1.
That's especially crazy to me. If you're soloing and the rhythm section is changing up the color of the harmony underneath you, that's a more fun situation to me. That's not a bad situation. The trick is if your rhythm section isn't agreeing with each other on what they're doing and they're fighting each other. I feel like that's the tough part.
Well, in that case, you flip a coin and kick somebody out.
Yeah.
It's the keys player. You stop playing.
You stop playing. It's probably not the keys player.
It's the rhythm guitar player.
I'm sure of it. I am 100%.
It's always
Why do
rhythm
guitar
guitar
players suck so much?
I don't know.
Guitar
do
players are
another-
so bad.
Do another podcast with Jim and ask him.
I've asked him. I don't know. Well, because I told him on the podcast that I didn't like guitar even.
Oh yeah, your face the other day while I was like, can you play? Can you? Like I asked you the question I thought you would most want to hear in the world, which isn't antithetical to guitar players. I was like, hey, can you do something more rhythm guitar based here? And you were just like gave me a look like, no.
What? No. I was happy. I didn't understand what you'd asked. I thought you said, can you play the rhythm guitar parts here? And then I was like, I don't know, like the rhythm guitar parts to this song. It was like, wow, I need to listen more because, like,
Oh, you just gave me a look of like bewilderment, and I was like, relax, man. it's just like a 2-chord jam. It's cool. No reason to get too uncomfortable.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was a funny gig. I feel like overall that was a pretty good gig with some weird mistakes in it.
They all are.
They're not all pretty good. Sometimes they're bad.
I guess it depends on the situation.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a question I've been asking everybody because I think about this all the time. Are you an artist or a trades person?
I think it depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing like an original like if I'm working with an original project, like if I'm playing with Kenny or with Brandy, I'm an artist. But
Right.
if it's something like I'm playing in a cover band like
Yeah.
with Mick, or if I'm getting called to like
Right.
if I'm getting called to sit in or something
Yeah.
like, or a sub gig, or even playing in a house band or something, then I'm a tradesperson.
Sure.
Like I'm there because I have a specific skill that you're looking for
Yeah.
and you're paying me for. Like, I don't know. I feel like the stuff I do as an artist, I'm doing like, I'm not expecting to get paid for it. I'm
Sure.
simply doing it because I want to.
Right. Right.
Like when you know, like when I talked to Jim about joining Kenny, the exact phrasing I used, I believe, was like, "Hey, listen, we want you to come and play with us. I can't guarantee like there's going to
Right.
be any money or
Yep.
anything. Like we're not exactly just starting off the
Yeah.
ground, but you know, we're all real passionate about the project. We'd love to have you if
Yeah.
you want to be in it." And so that's how I post stuff like that. Like if I ask somebody that, then it's me being an artist. But if I'm like,
Right.
hey man, I like in a situation where you would be like, hey man, I need a guitar player for this weekend.
Yeah.
I can get you charts. I can get you charts. I have a playlist and everything. If you have any questions, let me know. If you need a rehearsal, let me know. That's that's like a trade
Right.
time.
Yeah. You have a skill that you're offering and whatever. Yeah. You're being hopefully better than Spotify.
Hopefully.
I feel like that's the thing is I feel like I end up being Spotify a lot of the time. But like not in a way not as good.
It depends on it, you know, and honestly, it depends on what the job is. Like,
Yeah.
you know, some groups I play with, and they're like, "No, we want you to play like exactly the recording." And then some groups I can get away with like fucking around with stuff and
Yeah.
you know, changing the feel of things. And as long as me and the drummer are queued up on, like,
Right.
as long as we're on the same page, you know, it works.
I feel like that's kind of part of the job in a way, though, because the benefit to having a live band versus Spotify, in theory, is the vibe and the energy that you get from the band. You're looking at people playing instruments. And so if those people are connected to each other, like the allure of music is being created. I was talking with Jack about this also. I had a podcast a long time ago with a Canadian singer-songwriter named Emmett Garriott. And she said that she believes that music literally is magic.
Okay.
That when you're playing music, if you're playing it properly, you are truly conjuring magic. And that's the fact that you're making sounds, but you're not hearing sounds like disconnected from each other. You're actually hearing like a structure, and so is that person. And that person's just listening to you. And you are both hearing this structure that's this weird like illusion world that your minds are meeting in somewhere in the middle.
Well, if like they just hear a completely different song from what you're playing, but you're both just like, this sounds really good.
Well, I feel like that's what's happening with me in the middle, by the way.
There's, but I mean, no, you're in your own reality, my man.
Oh my God.
But I mean, I've always wondered like, if what I hear is A equals 440 hertz, is that the same thing that this person hears that's sitting next to me? Like, what if what I hear as A equals 440, they might hear as A equals 440 too. And there's absolutely no way to know. It's like one of those things like,
yeah.
We both agree like that bear over there is blue.
Right.
It's just a matter of, is your
It'd be
blue
great
green?
if it didn't.
is your blue my green, and is my blue your red?
Nice. Also, anybody watching, I love the thought of you just pointed to a bear off screen. Do we agree that bear is blue?
But I mean, you know, so like listening to stuff. That's one of those weird things I've always wondered.
Yeah.
Like, is my perception of reality exactly like this person?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Well, but I feel like that probably feeds into why we have different tastes in music too, because we're
We have
experiencing
different
it
tastes
slightly.
because some people are wrong and some people are right.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, I always forget that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Right. Well, who's wrong and who's right?
Well, I'm right.
Oh, right. Of course.
You're wrong.
Okay. Oh,
Except for when
I
I'm
always
wrong.
forget that.
Except for when I'm wrong.
You're right and you're wrong. Okay. All right. Now the silly, fun question before we play some music. Oh, and we talk about what you got coming out, what you got coming next. If you were teaching a history of rock class,
Hmm.
who would you include, but you don't actually like, but you do think it's important to teach about them? It's important for the students to know about this band or this artist, but that's not really your thing.
It's an interesting question. Let me think. I have to give me a second.
I have
to
a
think
lot of
about this
answers to this question.
I mean, I could probably give a couple answers.
I mean, there's like some obvious ones that lots of people might say.
Okay. I mean, like, one of mine is Tom Petty.
Oh, you're not a Tom Petty guy.
No.
I'm not really either. He's got a couple songs that really get me and I like a lot, but mostly not.
I understand that he was a great songwriter and everything, but I just like
not into it.
I'm not into it, man.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's just something I missed when I was learning to play bass, where I was like, man, playing the root of everything just and perfectly in time with the guitar player is so fucking exciting. I wish I could do that and fall.
But if you were teaching a bunch of people learning rock history, they should know about Tom Petty.
Yeah, I mean, because like he's got like real simple song structure. Because like a good song doesn't have to be complicated.
Right.
It can be very simple, and most of his songs are.
Yeah.
You know, they're simple songs with good melodies, with memorable lyrics. Like,
sure.
I don't even really like Tom Petty, but I can tell you the chorus of "You Don't Know How It Feels."
That's what I was thinking of too. That's exactly the song I was thinking.
You know, I know that harmonica line, dun 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 dun, dun. Like,
yeah,
it's not something I listen to.
Yeah,
but I know all that stuff.
It's kind of a complicated song, even. I had to learn it. Who is it? Who has that in their set? Cody Andell.
Oh,
I don't know if you know him or not, but yeah,
it's a cool dude though.
He's a cool dude. He's nice. I feel like it's similar. It's similar weird things to the Avril Lavigne songs, where it's like the production, the arrangement is complicated. Where you do it 3 times the first time, then 2, then 5.
Yeah. Also, that Avril Lavigne song "Skater Boy" is it's kind of a cool song when you're like,
fun.
Yeah, when you're like, oh, every section of this song is in a different key.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't like sat down to examine how they go through the different tonalizations and modulations, but it's pretty cool.
It is cool. And actually, my favorite part is that like trap beat that comes in at the end, where it's like out of nowhere, all of a sudden we just get like some serious drum playing. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, that song's just nuts.
Yeah.
It's also one of those ones that you're like, I know this song until you have to sit down and learn it.
Yep.
But I think one of the neat things about that song is it's such an easy listening tune.
Yeah.
But if you were like to sit there in a theory course, you'd be like, I never want to listen to this tune.
It's fun to learn too, because it's not hard in annoying ways.
Yeah.
Like some songs are just like not a joy to play. That's my whole thing with Mr. Brightside. I just really, it's a very uncomfortable song. It hurts.
Well, you know what?
Hurts my hand.
I'm sorry. The Killers wrote a song that's been way up in the charts for...
Everybody loves it. The audience, they lose their mind every time. They're like, yes, I love this song.
Dude, the crazy thing is like even like the older people, you're like, oh man, they haven't listened to anything new in the past 40 years. They're like, they request Mr. Brightside.
There's other Killer songs. We could play Somebody Told Me. I like that one. When You Were Young. You Smile Like You Mean It.
Yeah.
That one's pretty cool, actually.
That one's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah, Tom Petty's a good answer to that question. I feel like my answer is either Jimi Hendrix or U2. I mean, I just flat out don't like U2, but...
I mean, that's fair.
And then Jimi Hendrix is like, he's such a good guitar player. I just am not that into his songwriting.
So I can't remember who was talking about a certain album by U2 came out when they were younger. It was somebody at Friends. I can't remember who.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I could think of was like, could you imagine getting like a car and you have like the 8-track in your car and there's just a U2 like tape just stuck in there.
Oh, like what iTunes did?
Yeah, like what iTunes did.
Oh
So
my
whenever
God.
you would start, if you plug in your
It's
iPhone
like, fucking
and you start
YouTube,
your car and they
God
just
damn it.
starts that YouTube album, and you're like, man, anything but this.
Oh my God, what a nightmare.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there that every time they started their car and that U2 album started playing, they're like, yeah, I'm glad I got this for free. I have no idea who that person was or is, but I'm glad they're happy.
Do you like any U2?
No,
I feel like it doesn't do anything for me, and they're so popular.
no, I can't.
I don't
say
think I
that
like a
really
single
do.
song of theirs.
I know songs of theirs.
I like other people's versions of some of their songs. Where the Streets Have No Name can be a good song, but not as performed by them.
Yeah, well, I guess.
You're right, exactly. I guess. Yeah. All right.
I mean, yeah, I think it's just like a band that's way too into themselves, kind of thing. You know
The
what I mean?
Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that video. Did you ever see the video of Jack White, Jimmy Page, and The Edge? They're
No.
like the three of them are hanging out, and they all have like vintage guitars and stuff. And Jack White is showing, I don't know why, he's like teaching them the chorus lick for Seven Nation Army. Because he's like, you know, when it does da 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 da, there's that extra one every other time. And it's pretty funny because like Jimmy Page is like, yeah, okay, and he just plays it. And the Edge is like having trouble with it. He's like, what, how's it go again?
Yeah, I don't know. U2's one of those things. I know guitar players that really do like U2.
Yeah.
I've never been able to understand it.
Delays for days.
I guess that's the best
You
way
can play
to put
two
it.
notes and go have a coffee and it's still like...
Yeah, because With or Without You is just like bum 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 like
yeah, exactly. All right. So, you're in many bands.
I am.
So what do you got going on? What's coming up next for Micaiah?
So this weekend I'm doing live recording with Kenny Hayda and the others out at Texas Music Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This will be out after that, but will it be
Yeah.
available somewhere?
Yes, I believe that it's going to be live streamed
Okay.
and recorded. So by the time this comes out, you'll be able to catch that
Nice.
probably off of their website. And then after that, we're playing it was the 16th at the Dogwood
Okay.
on West 6th. It's part of like a charity showcase for South by.
Oh, it's a South by
Yeah,
showcase. Yeah.
it's like with Hector Ward.
Okay.
And then things are getting off the ground with Brandy again. We're starting to with Brandy LM and the Bottom Shelf, starting to try to get things going with that. And then I play with Mick in the Mix every Sunday at Drafting Room from 2 to 5. You play with me. Always a fun time. We never know what we're going to get. Sometimes it's, that one's fun because sometimes we just get to like play
Screw around,
stuff. But I mean, it's always, the thing I like most about that group is we get to play things that like I don't get to play anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like there's nowhere else in Austin where somebody's gonna be like, hey, let's play Juice by Lizzo. That's a fun song.
It is a fun song, actually.
I feel like a bunch of guitar players, I'm, probably gonna ruffle some feathers with this, but I feel like a bunch of guitar players and a bunch of musicians in Austin just get like too high and mighty about pop music. They're like, that stuff that people want to listen to that they find entertaining is beneath me.
That's ridiculous. I mean, actually, Juice is a hard song to solo on, too. Like, that's a good challenge.
Don't tell them that.
Why?
Don't tell them that. They might take it as a challenge.
That's fine, but then they'll do, like, minor pentatonic solo over it.
Oh, well, I guess if they take it as a challenge and learn music people want to listen to, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. doing that, and then I guess I'm playing at the WTF jams on Tuesdays
Nice.
now.
Cool.
House bass there, and then outside of that, it's just whoever
Nice.
gives me calls
Cool.
for work.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we got one coming up in June, I think, or
Yeah.
May or something like that. And actually, I got a few more just for July, so
Yeah.
I gotta get going on that. So.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm also playing in Jim's birthday show.
Oh right, at Valhalla.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
May.
I know
something.
he's thrown something together that supposedly is gonna make me hate playing with him, but we'll see how.
Oh yeah, he was saying he wanted to do like
Yeah, apparently it's like some
like math metal stuff. And,
yeah, and I'm like, Jim, we have to be able to play this. But it's
No,
okay.
we don't.
It's okay. We'll figure it out. It'll all come together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of that, oh, and I've also been playing tenor sax at friends
Oh
on
yeah.
Saturdays with this guy named Drake. Milfs Love Mullets is his Instagram account. That gig's fun
Nice.
because it's just like a bunch of like, oh, we'll play like old 90s rap songs and stuff.
Hell yeah.
Just stuff people get into there. Especially like during that brunch time.
Yep.
We'll play the dreaded Tom Petty and all the other stuff. Yeah. And then yes, we do that. I even have to play the bum ba da 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 da. Oh, what is that song? Oh, the long and dusty highway.
What?
Strung out from. the
Oh
rain.
yes. What is that?
Here
That's
I
Bob
go.
Seger. Turn the page.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that. Just like some gimmicky stuff like that, but it's a fun gig. He does some real raunchy songs though.
Wait a
So,
minute. Is this he like wears shorts and?
He's an interesting fellow. He
I
has
feel
a
like I know.
mullet.
Yeah. I think he comes to the blues jam.
Yeah,
sometimes.
he goes to the blues jams. I know.
I don't know
he-
him, but I know of him.
Yeah, I know he's made some people angry because he's called Akon's "I Want to Fuck You" before.
Yes.
And then people have been like, "I thought this was a blues jam."
That's
And it's
funny.
Like, it's
What
like,
did
man, just have fun.
He played a Love Story by Taylor Swift last night.
Yeah.
And that was another one where it's like the guitar player playing with him like could not figure out how to solo over it and was really trying to like blues solo over it, and it was just like not working.
Yeah, sometimes you throw in more than 3 chords and it fucks some people up, I guess. But anyways, he plays some real raunchy stuff
Yeah.
sometimes. Like I won't tell you the contents of the song, but there's this rapper named Stitches. He has a song called Molly Cyrus.
Okay.
So you can go look that up and figure it out on your own. Free advertising for that dude, I guess. Anyways, and it never fails that when we play something like that, that's when like somebody walks into a bar with their children and they're like, and it's always funny because the children don't get it. Like the 3-4-year-olds, they don't know what's going on. They're just like happy. They're dancing in the aisleway and the parents are cracking up. Everybody's cracking up. And we're just like, we didn't really want to play this raunchy song with children, but I
That's
guess
pretty
it just always works
It
out
is
that
something
way.
fun about Texas because it's true in Wisconsin. Parents can bring their kids to bars if the parents are with them. Most states you can't do that.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, the bar can say
Yes,
no,
of course.
but there are some that I think it really depends on like the hour of the day. Like,
Yeah.
if, like
Probably not going to happen at 1 in the
yeah.
morning. Yeah.
yeah, not gonna happen at 1 a.m. But like 2 in the afternoon, you can
Why not?
probably. Yeah, there's
If
not.
you're not getting the kids drinks, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You want to play something?
Yeah, let's do
Here's
it.
some clarinet. I'll grab my banjo.
Oh yeah. was fun.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
did it. We made it.
We made it.
All right, cool. Thanks for bringing that.
Yeah.
I haven't played with a clarinet in a long time.
Same.
No, that's not true.
I miss this thing. Forget about it.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I feel like it was Jim's question after I jammed with him. We should get a gig and just do that for 3 hours.
Just what are we gonna listen to? What kind of music do y'all play? I don't know.
We just go. It just comes out.
Do y'all take requests?
Not
Only
really.
if they're stuck.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to tell the folks?
Come to a show sometime.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Support
play
your-
every Sunday in Austin.
Support
Drafting
your
room.
local musicians. I'm
Yep.
not a part of Ham, but definitely support Ham. And,
Yeah. Ham's great.
tip musicians. Apparently, it's not known that musicians don't really get paid well in Austin.
Yes.
So make sure you're tipping or advocate for your friends to tip.
Yes.
Don't be too shy to walk around a tip jar. And yeah, just do what you can to support bands. Follows and likes are always free. And it's a good way to gain traction for people who might not be able to do so otherwise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, cool. I'll have all your links to stuff down below. Hopefully there'll be a link to that show in Waco
Yeah,
that
hopefully.
people can go check out. All right. Cool. Thanks, Micaiah. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thanks for chilling.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening or watching. Be sure to check out Micaiah's stuff. Come hear us play every Sunday at the Drafting Room in Austin. We play from 2 to 5 if you're around. So come hang out, have a beer. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Bye.